Welcome again to It Doesn't Take a Genius, conversation with introspective perspectives and pithy points of view. Here are your hosts, my friends, Max and Marty.
I think that's Mark and Mike.
Yeah, whatever.
Ramsey!
Marshall, this has been a month's worth of episodes about one thing. I'm so excited that we're wrapping this up, a four-parter.
I'm so impressed that we stayed focused.
Yes.
We I don't know if you've noticed this, we have a tendency to go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Sometimes if there's no rabbit hole, we'll dig one and then go down it.
You are correct. And I've recently seen a text message exchange that tells me we have another rabbit trail coming that's probably going to be, I suspect it's going to be our most popular series. But enough about that. Let's talk about this series. This whole habit.
Teaser alert. I like it. Oh, we are becoming very astute at the medium that we're working in.
Yes, the medium is the message. But this is about the 20 bad habits, wrapping up the last 5 of 20 bad habits, Marshall Goldsmith's list of interpersonal behavior challenges. And I guess let's just get into this and talk about the 5, because we've got some wrap-up thoughts that we definitely wanted to leave people with so that they weren't feeling too crummy about all the possible work ahead of them in personal development and feeling, just like they're terrible people. So we've got some thoughts about that, but we ought to probably give them the last 5 before we go into the encouragement.
Oh, definitely. And I would just like to thank, both our viewers who made it through the first 3 episodes on the 20 bad habits and showed up to hear 5 more.
Right.
That right there shows steel and resolve and grit, determination, and yeah, just for showing up and clicking on this button, you're the man.
This is encouragement right off the bat, and we're going to end with encouragement. This is great, even though it's about 20 bad habits. It's all fun.
Oh yeah. All right. So number 16. What do you got?
Number 16, not listening. And Goldsmith says it's the most passive-aggressive form of disrespect for colleagues. The most passive-aggressive form of disrespect is not listening. Boy, I think that this can show up in a lot of ways. When you, well, for those of you who can't see at home, Mike is texting and ignoring me right now. I sort of feel like that's one of the things, right? It's just the style in how you listen, right? I know some really smart people who do that, and they are truly listening. I mean, they are absorbing everything that I say, but I don't know it. So I feel completely disrespected when it happens, right? How do you think your colleagues feel?
Yeah. It's one of to me, it's just a power move. And Simon Sinek talks about this. He talks about even if you're just standing there holding your phone while you're talking to me and listening to me, just the act of having the phone in your hand sends this unconscious message that yeah, I'm listening to you now, but at any moment, somebody more important could call me, and I need to be ready to take that call.
Ooh, yeah. Or even just like your foot standing to the left, like I'm going to walk away as soon as I can. I mean, there are so many little micro behaviors that people unconsciously pick up on, and you get labeled with that, right? He doesn't actually care about us. He's not really paying attention. There's trust broken.
Well, and you know it from when you're a small child. I heard this story. The mom's in the kitchen. Little kid comes up and says, "Mom, you know what the meanest word in the English language is?" Mom's prepared for the worst, right? No, what is the meanest word in the English language? And the little kid says, "Uh-huh."
Yeah, that's painful.
Yeah, even kids know when you're giving them the half effort towards listening.
Right.
Yeah, John. Yeah. So this is a behavior that from our earliest days, we know it. It makes us crazy. If you're being that guy, stop it.
Right. So, and we could talk about, and we'll get into this at the end, but, there are good behaviors, right? There's repeating back what you think you heard somebody say. There's eye contact. There's a number of things we could talk about. Let's also remember that at an organizational level, they're seeing whether or not you're listening by if you're responding to what you heard. So we could spend the next hour talking about ways to make sure that not only you respond to concerns you hear, but make sure people know that you have responded to those concerns. And by the way you do that is not the important thing here is that you know that you were listened to. That won't work. You have to show them.
No. If I say that, then they know that I listened to this. Right? You've been heard. Now let me tell you why, what I'm thinking. It's like, no, you're so right. Yeah, some sort of acknowledgement. We've talked about this previously. I'm at the point in my life that if after I'm done speaking, if you don't provide some acknowledgement of understanding or that you even heard what I just said, then I don't talk to you anymore. It's over. We're done. My life's too short. I'm stealing air at this point in my life. I don't have that many breaths left. I'm not wasting them on you. And so yeah, I was a lot more tolerant in my youth, but yeah, it's just so frustrating because you don't know. Okay, did they disagree with what I said? Did they even hear what I said? Mm-hmm. Are we having a conversation, or is it just two people talking and we could be doing this in rooms by ourselves and it would be just as effective?
That's powerful. Emphasis on the aggressive of passive aggressive. Got it. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. All right, number 17.
17, failing to express gratitude. Just the thank you. And he calls it the most basic form of bad manners. Even kids know to say thank you once they've had that basic training. Even kids can say that. And I would add, maybe for some folks, it's helping you have a way to say thank you in a way that's meaningful. Now, what do you think? I mean,
well, tell me more about that, right?
Well, that's powerful how you just showed me you were listening, Mike. Way to go. What I'm thinking is something we've talked about on this podcast before is the AID method. I'm going to, it's a way to show you're listening, right? But it's a way to show you're paying attention to what they're doing. So action, impact, desired result for the future. And in this case, we could stop with action and impact in a positive scenario. We could just say, hey, I've noticed that every day that you're on the sales floor, you're the first one to the door to hold it open for somebody coming in. It doesn't matter what kind of guest it is, if it's your customer or somebody else's or an employee, you always get that door for them. Thank you so much for being such a considerate part of our team. Well, and all you've done there is just acknowledge what they've done, but in a way that's so specific, they know that you really mean it.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think that's the important piece is gratitude cannot be generic.
Yeah.
And so the example you just provided them, it was about a very specific thing. And when we are going to do a podcast, one entire episode just on expressing gratitude.
Yes.
It's such a huge topic, but the important thing is the gratitude should come as soon as possible to the behavior that was observed, and the gratitude should be specific. Walking to the door and looking at your team and saying, "You guys rock," and walking out, not gratitude.
Yeah, he doesn't know anything about us.
Right, exactly. So thinking about, how often did I do this? I've got leaders who've set goals for this, and you think, okay, that's insincere. No, it's not, because
no, it's not.
When you talk to them, they say there's probably 100 times a day that I could express my gratitude to team members. And so setting a goal to do it 3 times in a day is not insincere. It's just you left the other 97 unsaid.
That's right.
And so setting a goal, being intentional, being purposeful around expressing gratitude is not insincere. It's actually the highest form of sincerity.
And one more thing about this, if you're in an environment that is going to emphasize outcomes like sales results, right? You'll be tempted to thank the person at the top of the sales leaderboard. You'll be tempted to thank the person who, sets a sales target, for instance, hits a sales target, excuse me. Thank the effort. Try really hard to find the behaviors that lead to the results you're looking for and be thankful about those things, because those are meaningful events that are happening, and those people aren't getting credit yet, and you want them to. You want them to experience your courteousness and the fact that you're paying attention.
Oh, definitely. And some of my managers, leaders that I work with, you'll hear them express that. They'll say, okay, we need to get so-and-so a win because they followed all the steps. They did everything we asked them to do. They did it with enthusiasm and it didn't work.
Yep.
And so as a form of gratitude, we're going to go find this person, a win, an account, a sale or whatever. In reward for following the process, we know if you keep doing that, success will come. But in the short term, you had a setback. Let us express our gratitude to you for doing the things that we asked you to do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just fuel. It's just absolute fuel. Gratitude is a fuel. Great stuff.
Definitely.
All right.
Number 18.
18. This is a tough one. Punishing the messenger. I think people don't even realize that they're doing this sometimes, but Goldsmith calls it the misguided need to attack the innocent, who are usually only trying to help us. So somebody's trying to help you by passing along some bad news, perhaps even a critique, but just anything that you perceive as negative. And what you end up doing is attacking that person instead of wrestling with the message. Ugly.
Oh, it's terrible. It's terrible. And think about the anguish of the messenger.
Yep.
So I possess this information. I know that it's valuable to be shared, and it will be meaningful to the leader and to the head of the department. But I don't know how they're going to react. So now I've got to spend a sleepless night, a worrisome day, thinking about, okay, when do I tell them? How do I tell them? And all this stuff. And then I hope that they don't just take it out on me.
Yeah.
And it may have nothing to do with me, but I'm the one who has to deliver that. So if you think of nothing else, think of the lost productivity.
Yeah.
So when people have this information, you're not getting the information as quickly as you probably need it as the leader. And B, some information is being withheld from you that if you had, you could make meaningful improvements to your department with your team.
Yeah. And you can set the tone here. I mean, think of the flip side of this equation. If you get this right, you can set a tone in your organization that it's a safe place to be a true team member. And we've talked about this many times. I love the proverb, faithful are the wounds of a friend. The idea here is this is hard news that makes us better. And drives us forward. And so be a place that makes it safe for that kind of stuff to come out, instead of a place where they say, I mean, maybe they're not scared, quote unquote, but they're still going to avoid you. They're not going to tell you. They're going to wait till you're gone to go back to business. Mm-hmm. So this is a big one.
Oh, yeah, this is absolutely huge. So you remember we had a meeting, and there was a business leader, and he came to one of our conferences, and the thing he talked about was the most exciting part of his day was when somebody brought him a problem. And he said, problems equal money.
Oh, wow.
Problems equal, we're either going to make some money if we solve it, or we're going to save some money if we solve it. And he would get disappointed if he'd go a whole day and nobody brought him a problem. It was a bad day. It's like, nobody brought us anything. Nobody found anything or any way we could be better and brought it to our attention so we could work on it. Worst day ever.
Wow.
And it was that enthusiasm, that mindset that led you to, his people to believe that withholding an issue or withholding something that was painful was actually worse than sharing it.
Well, okay. So one last thought then, if that is the case, if we've got business leaders out there who are proactively pursuing it, I know you have clients and I have clients that are going through an employee survey process right now. And guess what? mine that bad boy for the bad news. Go in there and find the negative feedback that you're receiving and see that as an opportunity instead of, oh, well, I know why they said that. Mm-hmm. So and so is just a terrible employee, and they're bitter that they didn't get a raise. And no, don't shoot the messenger. Take that news and run with it. Okay.
All right. Yeah. It was raining when they took the survey. They were depressed. That's why we got the bad scores. No, there's something to be learned here. It's not kill the messenger. Let's take a closer look at the message.
Yeah. Well, so this is very much related to the next bad habit, number 19, passing the buck, the need to blame everyone but ourselves. The phrase that I like to say here is, what part of this do you own?
What part of this do you own? Oh, that's a classic. So when you think of what we're, and I've become enlightened. I've listened to Brene Brown talk about vulnerability and things like that, and which I had zero instruction on growing up. You cut your arm off. Well, don't come complaining to me. We don't want to, and so, but what I learned was that taking responsibility, that owning up to things that didn't go well, that I was a part of, is actually attracts people to you as a leader.
There it is. Yeah. Would you like to increase loyalty, screw up, and recover?
Yeah, screw up, recover, take responsibility for the screw up,
right?
Then recover,
right?
And so it is so attractive for somebody to say, "Hey, man, I messed up.
Yeah.
Right? Can you help me?"
Yeah.
Man, of course I can.
Yeah.
Versus, I don't know what you people are doing. I don't know any of this. Right. You're all expendable. I've heard this before. I can get rid of y'all and replace you with a new team.
Right. Right.
Maybe not the team.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the most powerful example historically I remember of this was the letter that was unearthed. It wasn't that long ago, from Dwight D. Eisenhower, who was Supreme Commander of the Allied Forces for the.
You have told me this. Invasion. Yeah, this is so fascinating.
And so he went around and he was meeting with all the troops, the presidents and all the heads of countries, and then the night before the invasion, he wrote a letter. And the letter was in case it didn't go well. Mm-hmm. So if the Normandy invasion had not been successful, the letter was, I have, we've embarked upon this mission. I've sent these troops into battle. It did not go well. It is 100% my fault. Mm. And he put the letter in the drawer and he went to bed that night. He woke up the next morning fully prepared to hand that letter to the President of the United States. Amazing. And say, this didn't work. It's on me.
Yeah.
And as we know, it was successful, and he never had to show anybody the letter, but our archivists found it later.
Yeah, thank God they found that, because what a testament to his leadership. That's great.
Oh, yeah. I mean, who would not want to work for, be led by that type of person?
Yeah, I love that, and I think the thing that makes this a special one is that you can pass the buck a number of different ways, right? It could be a circumstance, it could be a person, but there's just this moment where you have to look in the mirror and say, what part of this do I own? And you and I have been through where this happens in the sales, or at least I guess I should say the retail transaction relationship with a customer, where when we fall down with a customer and then recover that customer by all these things we're talking about, owning it, admitting our faults on this, that customer is actually more loyal, statistically speaking, than the person who never experiences anything but great service. So there's and it's because of trust, right? I think we've talked on this podcast about Andy Stanley's 4 elements of trust. 2 are rational, 2 are emotional, and one of the emotional elements is just this, are you real with me? Do I really believe you're authentic with me? Here's a way to do it. Don't pass the buck.
Right. Yeah, you just own it. And it's interesting because number 19 relates very close to number 12 on our list, which is making excuses. So number 12 is making excuses. Number 19 is passing the buck.
Yeah.
And so as you start to read through these, you start to see, okay, there's overlap here.
Totally.
And so it's, it's kind of like one of those, behavioral assessments where they ask you the same question 3 or 4 different ways, just to see if your answers match all the way down the page. And so I think this is one where if you're passing the buck, there's probably a good chance you're also making excuses.
Mm-hmm.
And so as you read through these, there are similarities. And if you're relating to more than one, it might be worth it to go back and go, oh, yeah, I know why I've seen both of those. They're very similar.
Yep. That's great.
All right, this is it. The last one, number 20.
An excessive need to be me, exalting our faults as virtues simply because they're who we are. I met this guy, right? He sits in the meeting and goes, hey, I tell it like it is. So, and then he proceeds to basically have an excuse to say whatever the heck he wants to say. And we have to excuse him for it because he's just going to tell it like it is. That's who he is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Or my favorite, sorry, I'm running late. That's just what I do. Okay. So just so we're clear, just what you do is disrespect everybody else's time in the room. Well, no, it's just who I am. I just, people who know me, they know that, I'm never on time. And just so we're clear, there's never a point where you feel that you should be respectful of other people's time.
Right.
No. It's just, you don't understand. It's just the way I am. Marshall Goldsmith has this really good saying. He's like, if you're doing something and it's incredibly annoying, stop doing it. If your blunt feedback never helps anybody improve performance, but does make them angry,
right,
maybe stop the blunt feedback.
Right.
If showing up late irritates your team, stop doing that.
Yeah.
The old, I was born that way. No, if it's a behavior within the scope of your control and it's setting your team back or holding you back, as how you're viewed as a leader, then you got to take this excuse out of your game and change this behavior.
Yeah, these are not DNA issues. These are skills that you can develop, habits that you can set.
Oh yeah, I'm not a morning person.
Right.
Well, either change jobs that don't require you to start before 11 a.m.
Yep.
or become a morning person. Change
Right.
your habits. Quit the caffeine late at night. Go to bed earlier.
Yep.
Right? Whatever you got to do.
Yep.
Change it. It's not working.
Just as a specific example there, and I think I can say all this without violating HIPAA. My wife was a nurse in a sleep clinic, and so she would hear lots of advice from the doctor about what people could be doing when they had their counseling session after a overnight sleep clinic. And it was stunning to me how often the advice was, well, so how much Mountain Dew are you drinking? 2 liters at night? Maybe don't do that. You play video games for 4 hours every evening? Maybe don't do that. There were so many very practical things. If you peeled back the onion, if you went to the root of that behavior, there were some things you could change. It wasn't just don't do that. It was, no, there are some habits that you can fix here. So that applies, frankly, to this whole list of 20 things. So,
oh yeah, they're definitely within the scope of your control.
That's right.
And so all right, so we've reached the end.
Yeah.
And congratulations to our 2 viewers. You've made it.
Yay!
Yeah, virtual high five. Up in the air there, up high. So, all right, how do we wrap this up, Mark?
Well, you were right on it, talking about what's under your control, and I think that's what we would like you to do, is to focus this down on, pick the one thing. Maybe it's that 3 of these bad habits are cousins, and you see the theme and you say that's the thing I want to work on. If you need help, as we've said before, ask those around you. Give them this printout that we link to, and say, which one do you think is my biggest opportunity? I know that you think I'm a great person, you who are scared to give me feedback, but really, if I was going to work on one, what would it be? And come up with that one thing that's going to be the focus for you. Now, it's hard to focus on not doing something. I think it's easier to focus on doing something. So maybe you talk to yourself and talk with those around you about what's a good habit that would replace the bad habit, right? Like, so we've already talked about that several times, not thanking people. How about instead use the AID method to give thanks to those around you? There's a quick example. Mm-hmm. And so if you're going to do that, structure is really going to dictate the behavior. What's the reminder that's going to be in your system to make sure you keep working on that behavior? Is it a sticky note on your computer? Is it putting your watch on the wrong hand? What will be the thing that physically reminds you to work on the behavior? Another is, who are you going to give an account to? Who are you going to look in the eye and say, here's how I did this week on thanking people. I was able to do it 3 times on Monday, but I fell off on Tuesday, but I got back on Wednesday and Thursday and was able to do it 2 times each day. Whatever it is, there's got to be some method where you give an account, right? That's what accountability is. You're giving an account to that person or that group. And the final one on that is just, how are you going to celebrate? Put a milestone out there for yourself where you say, when I get to where I'm in the habit, 5 days a week at work, and it doesn't have to be anything big. It can just be, I'm going to go get a Dairy Queen Blizzard. I'm going to take my wife out for dinner. Whatever that thing would be. I'm going to make that purchase that I have been thinking about making. Those are all silly examples. I bet you can think of a million more silly examples that apply better to you and how you celebrate. But yeah, all of this is about focusing yourself on the one thing, probably a positive behavior, and then putting in the structure that's going to dictate the behavior, the accountability, the reminders, and the celebration.
Mm-hmm. Now, you make an excellent point. So Marshall Goldsmith wrote this list from the negative perspective. And so literally you could take this same list and write it in a completely positive perspective.
Yeah.
Take responsibility, express gratitude, right? You could take this. So take this list that, it's written in a negative format to get your attention.
Right. This is meant to resonate with the bad part of your heart.
Yeah. You're supposed to smack you around a little, like smack you upside the head, so that you'll emotionally engage and proactively take action. Yeah. And so flipping it over and saying, okay, do the opposite of these things. And you make a very good point. Pick one, and don't forget the habit tracker. We covered this previous episode. So you put it as a line on your habit tracker, and you color in the box every time you express gratitude to somebody. You color in the box every time you take a responsibility. You do whatever it is you're working on.
Yeah.
Right. You track it. You use the technology. I've quit having people make to-do lists in my workshops. I now say, take out your phone and set a reminder.
Yes.
And they set a reminder, and then say, set it how often. Do you want it to remind you? Daily, every 2 days, once a week? This technology is literally part of you at this point. Can we make it work for you? So deciding what are you going to work on, what that specific behavior looks like, setting yourself reminders, use the technology, use the habit tracker, whatever it works, but to keep it top of mind as you work to make this just a part of your being. Once it is, you can go work on the next one.
I love that. I actually have a reminder like that with my kids that says, be patient and present. Mm-hmm. And 3 times a day, I get that message. And well, anyway, I'm still working on it. Okay. So we'll just keep moving on. But trying to be more patient and present. That's a habit. So, all right. What else do we need to cover here, Mike, as we're wrapping up?
I don't know. I think we covered it brilliantly. I would like to express my gratitude for the work that you put in on this. I think we did a really good job. And like we said, through this whole thing, neither one of us are immune to this list.
Oh, my word. Yeah.
We are fixer-uppers, baby. We are works in progress, and there are things on this list that I am actively working on. And so I see this as something that will never be done. I might get better, but there's still more upside to some of these behaviors. So
Amen to that.
we'll keep working on it if you'll keep working on it. If you ever want to discuss it, our contact information is in the comments below, and we're happy to talk. We can share our journey. We can discuss your journey. Happy to do either or both.
Amen to that. And as always, like, subscribe, send us your thoughts for future episodes. And I just can't believe, this is like episode 47, something like that, something crazy like that.
47. Yeah.
It's nuts. That's nuts. It's been about a year's worth of this once a week.
So good. Yes. I say we go get ourselves a cookie dough blizzard.
I'm going to do that.
Most excellent. All right, let's hear the announcer effusively praise us.
And that's it. Join us next time when you'll hear Mike say, well, I'm sure he'll say something pithy. Don't miss it. Next time, it doesn't take a genius.
That's good enough.